Hello, good afternoon. Welcome. It's Mel Bundock here, and welcome to episode 10. I can't believe we're on episode 10 of Big Vision TV. And I'm so happy with the guests that we've got on today. They're gorgeous. Veena V. We've had men on for the past few weeks, so it's nice to have in the studio with me.
This is the Big Vision TV studio, Mel, and I'm glad I'm in it.
I'm so excited that you're here. And I first met Veena, must have been a good couple of years ago, I think. We met, I think we connected via Periscope. I think lots of my guests, Periscope. And I can't even remember exactly how we connected, but we did. The universe brought us together. And I felt a connection with Veena straight away. She's got such a lovely energy around her. And she's like me. She has a big vision for her life and her business. She doesn't do excuses or, anything like that. She's all about taking action and, moving.
My A mug today, look, the action mug.
So Veena is also the host of the incredible Mum to Millionaire podcast. I was a guest on it a little while ago. And she has incredible meetups in London, and she's also the author of an ebook. Which, Veena, can you remind me of the title of your book?
It's called Small Business Success: 35 Highly Effective Ways to Make More Money in Your Business.
I'm going to download it tonight. I love it. Download it tonight. So, Veena, right? What have I missed out? Just introduce yourself to the world. Tell us a little bit about you and your background.
So, yeah, as Mel says, I'm the founder of Mum to Millionaire podcast, and I interview just inspirational women just like Mel, who, as Mel said, we're just action takers, and it's all about supporting one another. It's not, I still feel with so many people, it's like, and I do understand why people do it, but it's all about perception a lot of the time. So, I'm making this much money, I'm doing that and that. And I just think, do you know what? Let's strip away all of that. Let's just be real and honest, and let's just support each other and push each other to go forward, whether that be in business and life, because we're all on the same planet. We're all connected. I always say, imagine if someone invades our planet, it'll be all of us against them. So we're really all on the same team. And apart from Mum to Millionaire, I do lots of business training in terms of YouTube. So I'm a social media mentor for different enterprise centres in London, and I run lots of different workshops for small businesses to get started in video marketing as well.
Yeah. So basically, Veena's a bit of a Wonder Woman, super mom, businesswoman. So you don't know how she does it. She is incredible. And one of the things we kind of talked about was it's the role that motherhood has to play as well when you're doing all this. Because Veena's a mum, I'm a mum, and it's hard. This entrepreneurial journey, I think it's really for the nutcases of the world.
It really is.
and when you're kind of trying to juggle children and you're parenting solo as well, you can't really, what are we doing?
I really did not expect it to be this difficult. But then you're so far in, it's like, oh no, you do actually have to keep going, because this is what I want to do. I always think to myself, when you have those days of oh my God, everyone else is having this steady income and a normal job and they're getting paid for holidays. But then I think, do you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to have that flexibility, and I know where I'm going long term. So I might be, and I don't like to use the word suffering, that's the wrong word, but I might be, what's a good word, Melanie, to use?
Challenges occasionally.
There might be lots of challenges on the short term, but I know long term that it's not always going to be like this. I see everything as a temporary situation. So I might have had a really bad day in terms of my son might have been messing around a lot, might have had problems with this person and that person and the business. But I think, do you know what? When I wake up tomorrow, it's a different day. And I'm very much like Melanie, I always try and stay as positive as I possibly can. But recently, and I don't know if you agree with this, Melanie, but I feel as humans that our default is being negative. And it's always, even that in itself is like a competition of how much has each of us got to do and how stressed are we all. And even through going through quite a lot of different personal things at the moment. And some people look at me and it's like, I'm talking about like organizations, and sometimes I feel they don't believe me because I'm not playing the victim and I'm not crying all the time. I do cry now and again, but I'm not crying continuously. And I'm going to a meeting, like, and it's supposed to be a serious meeting, but I'm happy. And they're just like, well, what's going on here? So I feel like people are trying to make me recently actually go in a downward spiral because they're like, why are you acting normally?
Yeah, I totally get that, because I'm exactly the same. I'm the one to put a happy face on it. And you know, I don't like complain. I actually don't really like people who complain and people who, and I just don't like it. And you know, if I think about it, there's a million and one things I could have complained and moaned about, but I choose not to. I choose to put a happy face on. But I think there is a time and a place where actually, as long as you have supportive friends who you can offload, because I think it can be exhausting to put a happy face on it the whole time.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like you said, you need somebody to talk to, whether that be a parent, if you don't have a parent, a friend, or sometimes even a stranger, someone you don't know. Or people have always told me recently, like my mum's mentioned this and a few other people I've been talking to, Samaritans, helplines that are there to actually listen to you. I think now we are quite lucky in the sense that there is different organizations and different people that we can actually get support from as well.
Yes, yeah, it's really important. And it's always important to reach out for help, you know, when you need it, even if it is, you know, reaching out to a friend or somebody who does understand. I actually see a kind of a homeopath, naturopath once every couple of months. I go to see her, I offload, inevitably kind of burst into tears. Then I come away feel great, and then say, okay. Then I wake up.
I'm ready again. Reset.
It's a reset button, but that's part of my self-care regime, where, you know, when you do have a stressful, busy life, it's really important to look after yourself. You know, even you're booking from massage or just anything. It doesn't have to be a massage. Just start with a friend or whatever, you know.
And I think people would be surprised that if they actually sometimes ask people for help or write how they're feeling, and people are there to offer support. Like I wish I knew that before. I had really bad postnatal depression with my son when he was born, and I did not ask for help. I didn't tell anyone, not even my parents, and I just struggled through it for like years. But recently, when I've started to feel low, I now tell people, and I'm so surprised. I'm actually in shock by the amount of people that just literally texted me and been like, Veena, are you okay? Is there anything I can do? And I'm like, wow, like I didn't realize that. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you do forget. And yeah, I think people would be surprised if they just ask for help. I think people are willing to help.
Of course, and the thing is, people love to help as well.
Yeah,
they love to help. So let's talk a little bit more about, you know, what gave you the motivation to strive for this big vision, for this better life for yourself, where, you know, you could have gone down one particular path. And, you know, we do see people go down this path of victimhood and complaint and the world's against me and blaming others for their situation. But you've chosen a different path. What was the thing that what was a trigger for you?
I think, and I have been through that, by the way, of blaming other people, but it didn't last for very long. So I would be like, oh, it's their fault, or I'm in this situation because of them. But then I quickly realized that, hold on for a second, this is not helping anyone. Like, that person clearly doesn't care. They're getting on with their life while I'm still staying in this negative, you know, downward spiral, I always call it. And I do look back at past experiences, and that's what drives me forward, because I have spent probably weeks just on the floor crying. And now when I start feeling low, I think, no, do you know what? Last time when I was sat on the floor crying, it didn't actually achieve anything. I do believe it is good to cry for like 5 minutes, whatever, just get it all out there. But then you do realize that it doesn't actually solve anything by moping around, making excuses, moaning, crying all day, your life stays exactly the same. Like nothing happens. So when I realized that, I was like, do you know what? I need to sort myself out here. And you touched on it before in terms of self-care. Before, even like a year ago, I would never take the time to even just sit in the garden for half an hour with a cup of tea. But recently it's got too much for me. And I thought, do you know what? Switch off the computer, switch off the phone, go in my garden, half an hour, and literally just sat there in the nice sun we're having at the moment and write. I've just been writing. It doesn't matter what I'm writing, I'm just letting everything out through writing, basically.
Yeah, love that. And you know, and there are so many people that you must see, and I certainly see, who, you know, they are having a run of bad luck, and obviously it's never our job to, well, I guess it depends on the situation, because sometimes you want to say, it's not our job to say, come on, snap out of it, because sometimes I think it's when they're ready to take action and ownership of their life. But what would you say to those people out there who are kind of sitting at home thinking, oh my God, you know, woe is me, they are on the floor and they feel like everything's kind of against them? What would you say to somebody in that situation?
I think we briefly talked about it before, in the sense that everything is temporary. Like your life will not always be like this. This is just, how I'm getting through certain things at the moment is I'm seeing as a test. I'm like, somebody is testing me, and are you going to succeed, or are you going to make them happy? I don't know who them is. I just pretend it's the universe. Make them happy and like fail at it. Because like I said before, there's so many different sections of my life that has just been going like, what the hell? And then like the cherry on the top happened 2 weeks ago. Last week, when my that's why I don't know if you can see, it's a bit of a mess behind me. My whole living room just got flooded, and we're going to have to move out of here for a few weeks, me and my son. But instead of me I'm quite surprised I didn't cry. I just actually laughed. I was like, oh, this is so funny, universe. I know what you're doing here. You're just trying to test me. And I just see it as all part of the journey. And I'm just so much more empathetic now to other people's situations. So when people are having that down day, I think, do you know what? I'm like, if I can get through it, like you really can as well. There's so much amazing things in the world. There's so much opportunity. I could sit here all day, Mel, and talk to you about different opportunities there are, like to do so much with your life. And yeah, it's just realizing that. But you do have to be in your mindset. And that's why I think it's so important to practice positivity every single day. Because if I didn't do that in the last year, I wouldn't have been able to do this interview with you. I would have just been like crying on the floor right now. So
yeah. But from certainly the people who've inspired me in my life, when I look at people like Oprah and Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay, you know, when you kind of read back their stories, their past experiences, they went through terrible, you know, struggles and adversities and challenges, but it made them who they are, and it made them empathetic, and it made them be able to you know, help millions of other people. So it was almost like, I heard this a while ago, I can't remember who it was now, but it's saying that your test is your testimony. The things that are testing you right now end up being your testimony, and end up being, you know, and I think you're only given just as much as you can deal with, because I think sometimes you know, Veena, Melanie, they look like strong women.
Let's try them again. Let's shove another thing in there.
But they're going to come through it, and they are going to help other people who perhaps might not have been as strong to go through that. But, you know, I think the ripple effects of what you do, they spread out so wide. You know, people, I know you're an inspiration to so many people, and, you know, your energy is so infectious that people can't help but feel good when they're around you, which is such a gift.
Oh, but I think it's true what you say, in that we do have to keep going, because like, even take people like J.K. Rowling, she went through it so much as well, and she doesn't talk about it really at all, but she was in a domestic abusive relationship, and she got through that. She moved to the UK, I think it was from Spain, to get out of that relationship. And, you know, even her journey after that in terms of getting her book published. But And I love what you said about, you know, what you're going through is your testimony. Yeah. So
yeah.
Because now she's inspiring so many women to just get out there and do it.
And okay, so we're going down quite a darker place here now when we talk about kind of domestic violence, because I know you've talked about this, and you know, I've not experienced this, thankfully, but there are many people out there who are going through some really, really tough times, and who may not be able to see a way out. Obviously, I think your brain is wired for positivity, and you have an underlying faith that you are going to come out of this and not only survive but just thrive. I don't know if you've had much experience of helping other women through this, but what would you say to people who are going through not just your redundancy or the curveballs that life throws you, but really, really nasty stuff?
It is, you've mentioned it as well before, it's getting that support. Like, again, I went through so many things in the past, like the domestic abuse, and I did not tell anybody at all. And I wish I did, because then they could have supported me through it more, and I wouldn't have stayed in that relationship for as long as I did. And even just seeing signs, because even when I got out of that relationship, it was only really then I actually was like, oh, hold on, that was a, abusive relationship. When I was in it, I didn't really comprehend it, because things start very slowly, and then before you know it, it is out of control, and that's your life. And when your life becomes this routine, you accept it, and you don't realize, because you're in that routine now. Like, to me, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning isn't that difficult, but to other people, they'll be like, oh my God, how do you do that? But that's not their routine. So it is just getting that help and support, talking to people, doing as much research as you can. And what, I know you said more kind of generally, but and there will be definitely at least 1 or 2 people that see this video that are currently in an abusive relationship. And I know it's difficult to comprehend this, but you need to start writing everything down. I've realized that nothing will happen if you don't have proof of it. So if you do, and this is going to sound so horrible, but I need to say this, if someone's bruised you, you need to take a picture of that. Because even if you're not going to go to the police in that instance, at least, maybe in 2 years' time, when you've had that courage to do it, you've got all this proof, because otherwise it's just your word against theirs. And that breaks my heart for other people.
Yeah. It's such a emotive topic. It really is. And I think, my desire is just one person sees this today and it sparks them the courage to make the change, or just to get the first steps in motion to reach out for help and support. I would be so happy, even if just one person is affected.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. So, you've talked about it, and I know I've talked about it many times. And that's why I call this Big Vision TV, because I really believe that everybody has a big vision. Everybody, whether they realize it and know it or not. And if you don't think you have, I'm here to tell you that you do have a big vision. It's just probably been buried quite deeply, and you don't think it's possible, or you can't see how it's going to happen. But there is a big vision out there for everyone. And I do believe that there is a life beyond whatever circumstances you're living in that could just blow your mind. And so what are your thoughts on about, you talked about big vision, this is whatever you're going through is temporary. What are the other little things that get you through challenges?
Before I answer, I want to pick on what you said. You said everyone has a big vision, and I truly believe what you said. That's why I love this show, Melanie. It's called Big Vision TV. But I also, and I say this to all the women, and I don't know if it's just a problem with lots of women, but everyone I meet is so talented in their own way, and not enough women realize that. I meet someone and instantly I'll be like, oh my God, you could do X, Y, and Z as an idea. And they're like, oh, could I? I didn't realize. I'm like, oh my God, I don't. And sometimes it's simple things like they're the most amazing cake maker. You can monetize that. They're the most amazing person at putting on makeup. They can monetize that. They're a gardener. There's so many women on understanding their own potential. So again, through Mum to Millionaire, I really try and focus on that message as well, that we are all unique. We all have our own talents. And it doesn't matter if someone else is a mindset coach or a life coach or a business coach. There is a place for everyone out there.
Yeah. And obviously, because you've mentioned it already, you are pretty big and pretty knowledgeable in the world of YouTube. And again, I say this to my kids. I said, you know, they spend quite a lot of time on YouTube, my kids. But equally, they both have gifts and talents. Think, why don't you two be the creators instead rather than the consumer? Yeah. And yeah, totally. I've seen, you know, we've seen it, or, you know, people who braid hair amazingly and have incredible channels with millions of subscribers. There are people who unbox toys and, and earning insane amount, earning more than politicians. You know? Yeah,
it is crazy. And they're doing something they love. Like the other day, I had like he was called the Fire and Flood Restoration Technician that came to my house, and my son was watching a YouTube video on, I think it was such a stupid video, and it's clearly fake, but it was like going around a haunted house. Yeah. And the guy started laughing, and he was like, oh, look how people are making money. And I was like, yeah, good for them. I went, they are the ones that we should be praising, because they had the bravery and courage to make a silly video and put it online. And they're the ones laughing because they're making money from their passion.
Yes, and I love it. And I love what you've said that about everyone having a big vision. And it sounds like you and I have very similar conversations with people, because sometimes some people could tell me what to do and I'm like, oh, have you thought about doing this and about monetizing it this way? And perhaps you could have a blog or have a YouTube channel or this. And that's the thing. I think this is what I feel like my mission is, just to help people, you know, expand their vision a bit more. But what I love is how you know, inspire, you know, mums particularly to do this. You know, because I think mums, we can get a bit downtrodden sometimes. Our needs come at the bottom of the pile after the dishes and the dog. And but I think it's time for mums to put themselves first, because I think when you're happy and fulfilled, then the rest of your family is going to be happy and fulfilled.
Oh my God. And that's another thing I wish I did from day one. But we all forget, don't we? Because obviously we give birth and then we got these amazing children. They're so beautiful and angelic when they're sleeping. Oh, look at them. But then, we just forget about ourselves. Like everything comes before, like, okay, they're sleeping for 1 hour. Let me do the dishes. Let me do X, Y, and Z. Maybe you've got a business, you work a bit on the business, and then they're up again. And you're like, oh, I spent no time on my, I took the time yesterday to paint my nails. They looked horrible. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to paint my nails. I got my son involved. My son painted my toenails. So I'm getting my, shouldn't really say that on. Well,
do you know what? One day he's going to have a very appreciative girlfriend. Boyfriend, but whatever. I don't want to be presumptuous here. Who will be having their toes painted?
Exactly. And then he'd be like, yeah, my mum, I didn't even teach him. He just kind of looked at me do my nails. He's like, Mum, can I do your toenails for you? And I was like, at first I was going to say no. And then I thought, do you know what? He offered. And he did a really good job. I was very impressed with him.
So what are you working on at the moment, Veena? How can we find out more about you?
So right now I'm on talking about opportunity. I've seen a massive opportunity in this ebook business. So I'm currently writing several ebooks, which will be out later this year. But one is currently on Amazon. And you mentioned it at the beginning of the show. And that's, again, that is just telling the truth. Because again, I think when you start a business, people are like, yeah, you'll just be making money straight away. It's easy to get clients. It's easy to get customers. But again, if you're a mum and you're trying to juggle both at the same time and you've got other stuff going on, it's not easy. And I think it's fine to say that, because when you first start, it isn't. Like, it's good to be positive, but I also believe in being realistic as well. And that book, the first one, Small Business Success, just really, again, it's helping people get inspired by different ideas. So I give people 35 ideas of different ways to make money in their business. And that has had a really great response from the Mum to Millionaire community as well. It's helped a lot of mums already saying, oh, I'd never thought I could do that. So now they're implementing that in their business.
Fabulous. And also the meetups in London, are they?
Oh, yes.
Or
They are open to every. Oh, so sorry, men can't come. But at the last one, we did have. You don't have to be a mum. So at the last one, we had 4 women who don't have kids. And what I do make sure is we don't just like dwell on, oh, our child has done this. We don't really talk about kids that much, to be honest. So it's a great meetup for women to come along. And Melanie, I will never forget. I was so thankful because Melanie spoke at the first ever meetup and 2016.
it was, I think it's November 2016.
Yeah, the end of 2016.
Such an honor it was. And yeah, I love the energy. And I'm going to definitely, I think because I saw you on Instagram Live, I thought, do you know what? My schedule for September is looking fairly good at the moment. I'm going to put it in the diary and the next one. And let's talk about your brand, the vision. I love it. Talk about big vision. Mum to Millionaire is Vina's brand, is a podcast. Is that also the name of your meetups as well, Mum to Millionaire?
Yes. Yeah.
The meetup. How did that come about?
That came about because I used to work in the media industry for about a decade, and then my work dried up and I was like, actually, this is really difficult to look after a child by myself and work in the media. The hours just were ridiculous. So I had to get a normal job. So I was a receptionist in the city. But then I did that for 2.5 years and I was like, I'm actually like, there is more to life than this. Like I did what I had to do. I got some money. I was in employment. And then I just set up my businesses. I literally left and I was like, what am I good at? Like, what should I do? So that's how this whole YouTube training came about. But going alongside that, I thought, I want to document my journey and I want to be a millionaire. And then it just came to me one day. I was like, oh, do you know what? Mum to Millionaire. Actually, Melanie, you'll love this. I was looking in an old diary. So Mum to Millionaire started in 2015. But in an old diary, I was just writing something in 2013 and I called it Mum to Millionaire. But I didn't know I had done that until I saw it recently. And I was like, I've already thought of Mum to Millionaire before it started 2 years after that date.
Oh, love it. And it's not going to be long. Not going to be long.
No, it won't be.
Becomes a reality.
Even right now, I think I might be on 2% of it, but it is going to happen.
And we'll call it, then you'll have to rebrand it to Mum to Billionaire.
Yeah.
Laugh, serious. I'm serious. Don't laugh.
Sorry, you're so like, I always do that to people. I go, yeah, you're going to do this. And they laugh. And I go, why are you laughing? It's not even funny. Like, it's true.
I'm laughing. So clearly. And yeah, and it's just inspiring others to do the same. And, you know, it's not like you're lying, that saying, actually, I am a millionaire already. It's your journey to becoming a millionaire.
Yeah. And that's why I started it. Like you said, it was just, I never knew Mum to Millionaire would turn into what it is. I never planned on it to be meetups. I never planned to release ebooks. I know I'm going to be doing so many other things related to that brand. It was purely just going to be a podcast and me documenting my journey. And it's just turned into so much more than that.
Yeah, it's fabulous. It's such a wonderful, you know, I've loved watching your journey unfold. And, you know, you've had some great things happen recently, haven't you? Was it, I get these two ladies mixed up. Is it Jacqueline Gold?
Oh, Gold, yes. Yeah. I always forget about that until people mention. They're like, oh, what about your like award? I'm like, what award? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So this year at Jacqueline Gold, so she's the CEO of Ann Summers. She is a multi-millionaire. I think it's 500 million net worth she's got. She's got like a CBE as well. And yeah, she named Mum to Millionaire one of her top businesses of the year. So I had lunch with her at the Ivy. And then in September, I get to go to the Ann Summers HQ and we have like a whole day of mentoring with her and her team.
I can only imagine what the goodie bag would be like.
Oh, can you imagine? But it's so weird because anytime you say to a guy, this is a guy's stand. So with women, they're like, oh, well done on getting that award. And with men, as soon as you say Ann Summers, they're like, oh, what do you have to model in Ann Summers? And I was like, what's that got to do with this? Like, what are you talking about?
It's an incredible businesswoman.
Yeah.
And sorry, I just lost my train of thought there slightly. Oh, and the other thing I remember, you had an association with Barclays Bank, didn't you?
Oh yeah, so I've been doing so away from Mum to Millionaire and going to all the like doing the YouTube stuff. I do a lot of like filming and editing for companies as well. So recently it was Barclays and TSB. I did these social media like campaign videos for them, which was really interesting as well. Yeah.
Such a talented woman, you really are.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Did Jacqueline Gold give you any kind of golden nuggets or top tips? What was your kind of key takeaway from your meeting with her?
Oh, you know what? The key takeaway from it was I can do this. Because when I was talking to her and she was with these, you know, some of her team as well, I thought, hold on, I'm actually not, like, we're all human. Like I've always believed in myself. But after that meeting, I thought I'm even more determined now because I just believe anything is possible. If she can do it, like I can, and so can other people as well. And I think I think other people might have taken away business tips, but for me, it was literally that feeling of like, I am worthy. Like, I can do this.
So are. And I just want to ask you one final question. What's next for Veena V? Tell us a bit more about your big vision. What do you holding for you?
Do you know what? I can't predict, really. Like I said before, I didn't know any of this stuff would happen with Mum to Millionaire. And I'm just so excited. And again, talking about challenges before, that is what keeps me going. Because I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to be alive because so many things could happen. Well, not could, they will happen in my life. Like I want to get, people I think sometimes see money as evil. But to me, I'm like, do you know what? I want to be a multimillionaire because I see my house in Chigwell, like near where Alan Sugar lives. I'm like, I'm going to be in that house. I love it. So much space for me and my son. My family can come and stay over. Melanie, you're welcome whenever you want to come to London. But, away from the money side, it is, I get such a buzz every time I do a Mum to Millionaire meetup. And it realigns you. Because I think with the YouTube stuff and me training businesses, it's great. I love doing it, but I see that more as kind of the short term and me getting by on a day-to-day basis. But for me, it's Mum to Millionaire because I'd love one day to actually employ other mums and have this whole team of people. And then that team, they're inspiring the next generation. And then those generations inspire other people. And it's all just, centered around that. So like having a HQ and just having these workshops. And I just really want to do that.
Love it. And as I said earlier, the ripple effects of everything that you do spread far and wide. And and as I said, just one person is impacted today to take some action. Right, that's it. I'm ready to go for it, to do something different. I'm saying no to being the victim any longer, and I'm going to start taking some responsibility for my own life.
Exactly. And in terms of being a victim, it's like if you do play that role, then everyone will just always treat you like that for the rest of your life. And do you want that to happen to you? Like people need to think about that. And it is hard because like I said before, like I feel like I'm even pushing through to people are like, why are you not acting in a certain way? And I'm like, but I don't want to act like that. So even I'm feeling like, it's weird to explain this. Like I'm feeling people's sometimes negativity pushing down on me because like it shouldn't be. And like I was saying before, it's like everyone's default, well, not everyone, but a lot of people's default is you go negative, you moan, you do X, Y, and Z. And I think it takes strong people to just push through that and show everyone that that's not the way. There is a different way to life.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the first kind of like facing yourself in the mirror and think, actually, do you know what? I have been moaning and complaining, but I think it's when you start to take responsibility and you start kind of looking, and this sounds really harsh and I think some people get a bit triggered by this, just like, what are the excuses that you're making as to why things are the way they are? You can make excuses for the rest of your life, or you can do something about it.
Exactly. And I think sometimes even being a single mum
where'd you go?
I was like, shall I keep talking or do I take over the big vision?
You're back.
Am I here?
Sorry.
I just plugged in my my electricity to this. My charger. Talking like I'm back in the day, electricity. I can't remember what I was saying now.
We were talking about victims, being a victim, and people take responsibility, and actually just, you know, or have we done that one?
I can't remember. If it was that important, I'm sure it'll come back at a later stage.
I think we've covered everything there now. I think, yeah, key thing, if there are circumstances in your life that aren't the ones that you want to be experiencing, you can start to turn things around at any time. Go and reach out for some help.
Sorry, that's what I was going to say.
Go.
So I was saying about me, you know, how you could relate in terms of being a single mum. And again, a few months ago, when I felt myself going in that downward spiral, I was literally looking around. I was like, it's not fair. I was like, why are like all the mums I know, they're married and they can get to go out and they've got childcare but then I thought, Veena, you need to stop this now. Like, this is not you. You are not a bitter person. Like, with every situation, I never get bitter. I always become better from it. And I was like, Veena, you need to stop that. You need to stop that now. Like, and just look at what you do have. Like, I've got an amazing child. I've got a house. Some people don't have a house. So rather than focusing on, oh, look at that person with that person with that, I thought, what about the single mum with 5 children? I just got one. So what about them? So it is little things like that is like, Veena, you need to stop it, and you need to keep going and focus on your situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. So we've got the links here in the chat for Veena's book. Do go and check that out. I'm certainly going to check that out. And we've also got the link there for Veena's Mum to Millionaire meetup. And do go and check out Veena's podcast as well. So is your main website mumtomillionaire.com?
Yes, it is.
Great. And you can find out all about the amazing Veena V there. Just checking. You're not related to Gary V, are you?
Oh my God. Do you know, when he came out, I thought, now when I get to whatever level of success, people are going to be like, why is she called Veena V? But I've been called Veena V since I was 14. So no, before...
It's more the inspiration and the motivation to talk about. You know, I love it. I love Gary, and I love you more.
Oh, thank you. If I ever meet him, I'll let him know.
So look, Gary, can you dump the V? I had it first.
Exactly.
Oh,
you know, that'll make a good interview one day. I do visualize that in my head a lot, like Veena V and the Gary V interview for the podcast.
So. It is done.
It is done.
Oh, so excited for you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on your show, Melanie. I just want everyone to support you, because you are so fantastic. Like, everything you say, I just love it. It's just so down to earth. You're so beautiful. And let's just give you a hug through the screen.
We clearly soul sisters from another time. So thank you for your kind words. So lovely. So thank you, Veena. Wishing you huge successes with everything you do. It's happening. It's everything you've said. I've got goosebumps just thinking about it for you. It's all happening. And yeah, just excited to support you and cheer you on.
Yay, and you as well.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and share this out. Share this out to anyone who you think could benefit from a little dose of inspiration this afternoon. So thank you for joining me, Veena, and I will speak to you soon. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.